So, first of all, quite a broad question. How would you describe your experiences of PE overall?
It was quite an interesting one because when we did PE, we did obviously the mix of academic work, looking at how the body works, and then also actually carrying out playing sports, and part of like that was also officiating it. So I've always been quite sporty, so I really enjoyed the sports side. But then sort of looking back on it, I probably didn't take the in lesson sort of bit as seriously as I maybe sort of should have done, and I think that was probably partly prompted by the sort of class that I was in as well. It was a bit of a disruptive one with people getting kicked out, people not listening, that sort of stuff. So it's sort of, I look back and I think maybe I could have done better with it at GCSE, talking about GCSE sort of grade. But I did really enjoy the sports and found the lessons really interesting, but could have done better. So it's helped.
So we're going to focus on sort of your core experiences of PE. So just think about like the lessons that everybody takes rather than your GCSE experiences.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, fun. Lots of fun. I think it's important to get that exercise in, especially in school. You wake up at 7 o'clock, get into school for 8:45, say, or whatever the starting time was, and if you've sat down for 5 less hours a day, and maybe you get an hour lunch or whatever, you need something to break it up with. And I think a lot of young people enjoy sport. I know I still really enjoy sport, and yeah, really good for just overall health and mental well-being, I think.
Could you expand a little bit
more? Yeah, sure.
On
so I think especially when it comes to like GCSEs, A-levels, exams, whatever sort of tests you're doing at school or university, I think it's important to keep doing what you would regularly do for relaxation, as well as revising and working up towards those sort of exams, because if you're not relaxing, then you're not getting rid of any of the stress that's built up when you're trying to cram or whatever for those pieces of work. So by getting rid of that stress, you're helping your own well-being and therefore enabling yourself to do better in the exams that you're working for and all the work that you're doing, sort of thing. So I think it's overall it's very.
So that was sort of the role that PE played for.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So you've got the activities taught in PE there on the sheet. Would you be able to go through your experiences of the different activities in PE and sort of say which you took part in more regularly and so on?
So we actually did all of these sports, sort of all the way from year sort of 7 to end of school time in PE. I remember doing, especially in GCSE. Obviously, we did the range of it. I've always been a football player, so I played like a lot of football. But they wouldn't just let us do what we wanted to do in PE. They'd have a set curriculum, and you'd sort of play rugby and football, sort of flip between the two, and then you'd also do we'd have badminton nets. They had a basketball hall where you could play basketball. The girls played netball, but I remember in junior school it was mixed as well, so I played netball then.
But not during your high school?
Not during high school, no. So the girls played netball at high school and then the boys didn't play that. Actually though, when it was being done for GCSEs and the girls wanted to do netball, the whole class did it all mixed together at that point.
But sort of focusing on your core experiences, that wasn't something that you did?
No, that wasn't something. Generally, mostly it was football and rugby, and then the other sports were added on as sort of extras. Yeah.
Okay, and so how would you describe your experiences of those sort of different sports specifically then? And then sort of other sports that come into that team and individual games category.
Okay, so sort of specifically about football and rugby,
just about all of them in a way.
All of them. I think they've actually helped me growing up. I think all of them are team sports, even like badminton, even though you can do singles, we did mostly doubles to make use of the space. So from all of them, you need to sort of that communication skills, and someone's always going to be the captain when you're doing it to a certain level. So you have sort of leadership examples and that sort of stuff. And I think just being able to communicate helps so much in each of these sports that it sort of helps you develop these different skills that you can use in different parts of school and life in general. What was that?
Yeah. What sort of specifically focusing on sort of maybe a few of those? Did your experiences differ between different examples there?
Yeah. So I think things like badminton. I think we didn't really have any PE teachers who played badminton regularly. They didn't. none of us really played badminton regularly, so I think there was less eagerness to actually do that, although we all did it. Whereas, we had a semi-pro footballer, someone who played rugby, for a couple of people who played rugby for their clubs, in the teaching staff at the school. So they were obviously always really keen for us to do those sorts of sports, and then the sports that went along with it, so like fitness and athletics and that sort of stuff. That was really encouraged, far more than maybe badminton and rounders, say, and tennis as well, probably.
So you sort of said that sort of football and rugby were more common.
Yeah, far more common and therefore sort of more pushed as well. But we'd still have to do the other stuff occasionally.
Okay. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I was fine with that because I like trying different things, and I think you can play football all day. And I play football for Sunday League, and I play for the school as well. So I was playing enough football at that point to, not worry about missing an hour of football a week or something like that with PE lessons or games lessons. So while some people got really annoyed at it, and fair enough, but why not try something different, I guess. You never might know, you might find out a sport that you really like otherwise.
And then sort of the other category of other competitive sports. What were your experiences of those, and how often did you partake in those?
I don't think we ever did gymnastics. Might have done things like got the horse out, like that you jump over occasionally. Yeah, that might have done that, but never anything more than that. Athletics was a summer only sort of thing, where that would be maybe mixed in with cricket occasionally. 100-metre sprints and like relays and that sort of stuff. And to be fair, sports day was always a big event at our school, where all the different years go to Longford Park, and we'd do it there. So that was good fun, but we didn't really do it much outside of like the last month of school sort of thing. And then things like dance. There was a GCSE dance class. I'm not sure how many people actually did it, but it wasn't really involved in PE. It was sort of treated as separate.
So it wasn't involved in your core PE experiences?
No.
And how would you describe your experiences of those other competitive sports?
Yeah.
So like athletics that you mentioned.
Yeah. I enjoyed athletics, but I was never as good as I was at other sports. So it sort of felt a bit pointless at that point, because I knew what the sports were. I'd done them before. I knew I wasn't that good at them. Felt like it's not like I'm trying something new and then deciding I didn't like it. I've tried it, don't like it. But yeah, I don't know. It's very individual as well, rather than sort of team based, which I think I prefer in a sport. So unless you're doing the relay, then it's all sort of on you.
Why would you say you prefer that side of it?
Being
a team, sorry.
I think I think there's greater reward in doing well as a team, because you've got to have a certain amount of people playing well and sort of dominate multiple sort of positions. Say in football, you've got to have better defenders and attackers than the opposition have. You can't just have, or generally you can't just have one player that is better than everyone else, sort of thing. And I think that sort of teamwork aspect, you've worked well if you win a football match, sort of thing.
And then you said you didn't really experience like sort of other physical activities that weren't competitive sports.
Yeah, we just I think the school wanted to keep everything sort of slightly competitive with the sports, and I guess there are ways you can make dance and stuff like that competitive, but I think if they, like I said before, there wasn't anyone who did say badminton or the sort of less mainstream sports. I think if they hadn't been I think because they didn't have anyone that did those sorts of other sports.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say rock climbing or something like that. There just wasn't an appetite for it in the teaching staff as well.
Okay. Yeah. And then sort of finally on the activities, did you take part in any further outdoor and adventurous activities within your core PE?
They did things like a scavenger hunt occasionally, like sat out around the playing field and you had to go and find different points. So I think that would be there, yeah. So the scavenger hunt once or twice a year.
And what were your experiences of that? Yeah,
it was fun. They would try and make it into sort of competition with the house system being linked to it. Just being out of the classroom was nice, but I'd rather be playing a sport than doing a scavenger hunt, I guess.
Okay. What aspect, were there any